Live from Denver, Colorado, this is Before the Chop, the morning show for barbers. Here's your host, David Ford.
Oh, okay. Run a quick errand in your own head with me. You want the best tacos in town. Somebody's face just showed up when I said that. One specific truck on one specific corner. You would testify about that truck in court. Your transmission starts slipping. You already know the one shop that you'd trust with it and the three that you wouldn't, by name. Your kid needs a suit that actually fits, and there's one tailor that everybody's mom sends people to. Watch what your head just pulled off there. It didn't hand you a category, it handed you a name, a person. For every real thing in your life that matters, you don't go looking. You already know the guy. So here's the sentence I want landing a little uncomfortably this morning. You are that guy. No thinking. It's just for somebody's tacos, for somebody's transmission, somebody's suit, and for the haircut in your own town, you might be nobody's. Good morning, barbers. I'm David Ford, and that reflex you just felt, a name arriving before the category, the way a guy with a grown-out disaster suddenly remembers exactly one barber, is the entirety of what we're doing today. Because the barber who becomes that name doesn't work harder than you. He's just known for a thing. And being known for a thing is a completely different asset than being good at everything. And I'll say the uncomfortable part about myself before I preach a single word of this. I was the definition of the barber I'm describing. I was solid at everything, but I was the answer to nothing. If you'd asked a client what I was great at, the honest answer would have been, he's really consistent. That's like a lovely thing to hear about a dishwasher, but it's a brutal thing to hear about a craftsman. So today's show is a map, drawn by a guy who took the scenic route and saw a whole lot of nothing on the way. And here's where that map leads by the end of the hour. You'll understand why I do it all is capping your book and your price. And you'll have the actual move to become the barber people ask for by name, not by getting more famous, but by getting more findable. Everything we built last week, the capacity, the readiness for the moment that shows up unannounced, that was the engine. Today is the steering. Look, nobody drives across town for pretty good at everything. They drive across town for the best at one thing. Find me wherever your hands are this morning, mid-fade, mid-coffee, hiding in the back room with the towels. No judgment here. The chats here start to finish at beforethechop.com. The replay watchers, catch me in the comments. And anything too long for either, mail it beforethechop.com. That's the inbox. The Mindset Minute leads us off this morning because getting known for one thing has a step 0. Most barbers skip their entire careers. So here we go. Somewhere back in your first year, somebody asked, what kind of barber do you want to be? And you gave the answer we all gave, a good one. Wrong answer. Because everything this morning hangs on one small idea that's harder than it actually sounds. You can't become known for one thing until you have the guts to decide what that one thing is. But actually decide it. There's a difference between deciding it and discovering it. And that difference is where most barbers get stuck for a decade. And it matters right now because the reason you're not the guy for anything, it's not a skill problem. You've probably got the hands. The problem is that you've never once said out loud to yourself that this is the thing I'm going to be the best in my zip code at. You've kind of kept the menu wide on purpose because a wide menu feels safe. If I do everything, I can't be turned down for anything. But a barber that says yes to all of it says nothing to anybody. A stranger scrolling past can't hire flexible. He can only hire specific. Underneath it, I actually think it's plain fear. It's fear that's learned to introduce itself as humility. Picking your one thing feels like closing doors, and that can feel like a loss. But look at what keeping every door open actually buys you. It's kind of like a hallway. You get to stand in a hallway your whole career near a lot of doors, but you don't actually walk through any of them. Deciding is the opposite of loss. It's you finally saying a hard thing about yourself in a specific voice instead of a soft thing in no voice at all. Besides, the decision asks far less than the fear says that it does. It doesn't require you to be great at the thing yet. It just requires you to point in a direction. And greatness comes after you aim. Define the win before you go chase it. What's the sentence you want a happy client saying about you in a group text 6 months from now? Not, he's good. Good is like the baseline. It's the floor. The sentence with one specific thing in it. He's the one who actually knows my curly hair. He's the guy for a real straight razor shave. Write that sentence first, and you've just turned a vague career into a target. So we aim, then we work. Anybody racing a first appointment, take this with you and go. Stop waiting and find out what you want to be known for. Actually decide it. It can happen today before your first client hits the chair. Everybody else, stay with me. We're about to follow the money. What that decision does to your book and your price, dollar by dollar. Feel good has nothing to do with it. Being good at everything is not a strength in this trade. It's the exact thing keeping you interchangeable, and interchangeable is the one position that never gets to raise its price. That's the diagnosis. First sentence, no warm-up. The rest of this segment proves it because specialize gets thrown around like a slogan, and a slogan never has to show its math. But we're going to show our math. Start with the symptom you already feel. You're busy enough, but you're not really sought out. Your book fills with whoever walks in that day. Your price sits wherever the shop's price sits. And when a chair opens somewhere better, or a client moves across town, no gravity holds anything to you. That's not bad luck. That's not your fades. It's the signature of being a generalist. When you're the answer to a general question, where can I get a haircut around here? You're competing with every other barber that has the answer to that same question. Every barber in a 3-mile radius, plus the chain with the $10 coupon. You put yourself in the biggest, cheapest, most crowded fight there is. And then you spend years puzzled about why standing out feels impossible. You're not failing to win the race. You just entered the wrong race. Interchangeable is not a small problem. It's the whole problem. Because interchangeable is the one thing a business cannot survive being. If a client can get the same result from the shop next to yours, you have exactly 2 levers left: price and convenience. And you will lose both every time to somebody hungrier or somebody closer. A swappable barber is always one better coupon, one nearer shop, one shorter wait away from watching his book walk out a door he never even realized opened. The generalist believes doing everything keeps him safe, but it does the exact opposite. It makes him the easiest barber in the world to replace because nothing he does is a thing only he does. Now watch what happens the second you get specific, because it's almost mechanical. The moment you're known for a thing, you stop being an answer to, where can I get a haircut? And you become the answer to a much smaller, more valuable question. Who around here is actually great with textured hair? Who does a real old school shave? Who's good with autistic kids who can't sit through a normal haircut? Far fewer people ask the narrow question, but every single one who does is already sold before they walk in. They're not price shopping, and they'll drive past a dozen competent barbers to reach the one who does their thing that they are looking for. You just traded a giant crowd of maybes for a small line of yeses. It's a spectacular trade. It's available to every barber listening, and almost nobody takes it because the giant crowd of maybes feels safer than the small line of yeses. Now, watch how fast your own brain runs this play once it clicks. A man's got a cowlick that has beaten every barber that he's ever sat in front of. He does not want a good barber. He wants the barber who fixes that. A dad's got a kid who screams through every haircut. He does not want a good barber. He wants the one that's great with kids. A guy is finally growing out the fade he's had since high school, and he's terrified of the awkward months. He doesn't want a good barber. He wants the one that knows how to grow a man out on purpose, to grow his hair out, to actually take care of his needs. Nobody with a specific problem shops for general. They shop for the person whose whole reputation is their exact problem. They'll pay more. They will wait longer. They'll tell everyone they know because you didn't just cut their hair. You solved their problem. Now, price is where this shows up plainest, because a specialist and a generalist are not selling the same product, even when they're doing the same haircut. A generalist sells a haircut. Haircuts have a going rate. Everybody already knows. So the second he charges above it, he has to justify that. He usually blinks. A specialist sells the solution to a specific problem. A solution has no menu price because you can't comparison shop the one guy who does the thing. I've watched this for years. Two barbers, genuinely similar hands. The one who narrowed into a lane charges what he charges and nobody flinches. The one who does it all is still explaining why he's a few dollars over the shop average. Same skill, completely different economics. The only variable that moved was whether the work had a name on it. Let me be honest about the fear here, because I've lived inside of it. The story that keeps you wide goes like this. Narrowing turns people away. The second you're the curly hair guy, every guy with straight hair books somebody else and your chair goes cold. And that feels true, but it's almost entirely backwards. Being known for one thing doesn't shrink your book. It gives your book a front door. Your specialty is what gets your name said out loud or in a group chat or by a barber at another shop who doesn't do that thing and sends it your way. Reputation walks in the specific door. Then a huge chunk of the people who came for the one thing turn into regulars for everything. Because now you're not a stranger with a menu. You're the guy that so-and-so swears by. You don't lose the general work. You earn it downstream of being known for the specific. Think about a baseball closer for a second, because sports figured this out with actual money on the line. A closer doesn't play the whole game. Most nights, he throws to 4 or 5 hitters, 1 inning. A couple of pitches he happens to be the best in the world at. And for that sliver of the game, he's one of the highest paid arms on the roster. Now look at the utility guy. He can kind of play every position. Pinch run, catch in an emergency, fill any hole on the roster. Very useful, versatile, always dressed. He makes close to the league minimum, and he gets sent down when the numbers get tight. The game doesn't pay for versatile. It pays for the man you call in the 9th, when you need exactly one thing done perfectly. Your chair runs on the same math. I can do anything is the utility infielder's contract. But I'm the guy for this is the closers. Pick which one you're negotiating. Now, how do you actually find your one thing? I'm not going to leave you with just the philosophy here. There's 3 honest places to look, and you probably already know the answer. Number 1, what do people already compliment you on without you fishing for it? The thing clients mention every time. Number 2, what do you genuinely like doing so much that you do it on a slow day for free just to get better? Because you will outpractice anybody who's only in it for the money. 3, what's underserved right where you are? The thing people in your neighborhood keep needing and keep striking out trying to find. Where those 3 things overlap, you're not looking at a hobby, you're looking at a lane. And it's got your name on it if you claim it. Let me make that concrete, because find your lane stays a slogan until you watch it happen to a normal guy. So say you're solid across the board, but one compliment keeps coming unprompted. You're the only barber, say, who's ever gotten a client's thick, wavy, impossible hair to actually behave. Most barbers hear that 100 times, but they don't do anything with it. It feels too small to build a name on. The barber who's paying attention hears it once and starts aiming everything at it. He learns those products cold. He takes the wavy hair walk-ins the other people would rather pass on. He posts those specific before and afters instead of his cleanest fade. And now 6 months later, the whole shop is routing the tough heads to his chair, and he's charging a number nobody argues with because he stopped being a barber who does haircuts and became the guy who finally figured out your hair. His hands never changed. He just pointed himself at one thing and refused to look away. All right, I want the real answer here in the comments, not the safe one. If your reputation had to ride on exactly one thing, the general work would still come, but your name would still be attached to that one thing. What would it be? Type it where the strangers can read it. A specialty claimed in public has a way of coming true a lot faster than one you're still keeping to yourself. All right, time for the craft corner, where known for one thing either gets physical or it stays a poster. A client has to feel your one thing while he's in the chair. Reputation doesn't travel on a category, it travels on a moment somebody can describe to a friend. This week's technique hands every client that moment on every visit. Build yourself a signature finish. Think about how your cuts end right now. You brush them off, spin the chair, hand him the mirror, pull the cape, done. Clean, fine, invisible, and frankly identical to how every other barber in America ended his last haircut. Nothing in those final 90 seconds tells him what you're great at. Yet, the ending is the part he walks out on and remembers, which means the most memorable minute of the whole appointment says nothing about you. So take this as an opportunity. Design one small, deliberate, repeatable thing that you do at the end of every single cut aimed at your specialty. A finish that teaches people what you're the guy for. If your lane is the classic straight razor work, your finish is the full ritual. Hot towel, pre-shave oil, the actual straight razor on the neckline, slow, clean, every time, even on a quick haircut. If your lane is textured and curly, your finish sends every client out with his curls actually defined, plus a 10-second, no-nonsense rundown of the one product and the one motion that keeps it actually looking like this at home. Let's say your lane is detail-obsessed line work. You hand him the mirror and you walk through the edges with him on purpose so that he sees precision instead of just walking out and wearing it. If your lane is the fast, clean, in and out haircut for the guy on his lunch break, your signature is actually the exact opposite of the slow ritual. It's a finish so crisp and consistent that he can set his watch by you, and he'll know that he'll walk out sharp in exactly the time that you promised. The point was never that the finish has to be fancy. It said it has to be yours. It lands the same way every time, and it stays the one thing you want your name to say. Notice what that finish is pulling off, because it's 3 jobs. It makes your specialty something the client feels in his own chair, instead of a claim on a poster. It gives him the exact words to describe you later. He doesn't just say, "Yeah, my barber's okay, he's good." He says, "My guy does this whole hot towel straight razor thing at the end. You got to go check him out." Now your specialty travels in a group text. And it makes you consistent because a signature you do every time becomes the thing that people count on. And counted on is most of what known for means. One repeatable ending aimed at your lane. That's it. So this week, design your finish. One deliberate closing move that matches the thing you want your name on. And then do it to every client with no exceptions, especially the walk-in you'll never see again because he's the one that might tell 6 people. Already got a signature move your clients bring up on their own? Put it in the comments and let another barber steal the idea. That's half of what the comment section is for. If you've ever narrowed into one thing on purpose and you got known for it, watched your book and your price change because of it, I want that letter. And I want the version where it still feels like a mistake. The week that you turned real work away with zero proof it would ever pay off. Send it to mail@beforethechop.com or just say it in the chat while we roll today. After that, the news. The Broncos just put a barbershop inside their own building. The industry's big gear report just landed, and both of them have something to say about which barbers stop being swappable. Short break. Stretch your legs. The barber news hits when we're back.
He walked in with a photo of hope. The man in the photo had thick, wavy hair. Our client did not. The man in the photo was 26. Our client had a retirement account. Every year, thousands of barbers are handed a picture of a completely different human being and asked to just do this. You cannot give a man Timothée Chalamet's hair. You can only give him a good haircut and a kind word. This has been a message from the Council for Realistic Expectations. Bring a photo of your own head.
Tired of owning your own clippers like some kind of animal? Introducing Clipper Club, the monthly subscription box for the modern barber. For just $49 a month, we send you the clippers you already own. Every month, whether you need them or not. Miss a payment, they stop working. That's right, cloud-connected clippers, because your fade should require a stable internet connection. Clipper Club Premium adds AI. What does the AI do? We don't know, but it's an extra $30. Clipper Club. You'll own nothing, and you'll pay for it.
And we're back. You're listening to Before the Chop, flagship program of the Before the Chop Broadcasting Network, a network of exactly one show, which technically makes us both the flagship and the entire fleet. I'm David Ford, commissioner of The One Thing. Membership covers every barber who ever picked a lane, and the dues are free, and the bylaws run one sentence long. Quit being good at everything. If you walked in mid-show today, the first half made one argument. Being good at everything keeps you interchangeable, and the barber who narrows into one thing becomes the one name people ask for. The replay will hold the full case today. Coming in the back half, an NFL team that built a barbershop into its own building, an industry report on why your clippers can't be your edge anymore, and a haircut named after a woman who's been dead for 260 years. First story's up top. First up, the ceiling. This is how high, known for one thing, can actually take a barber. Broncos Wire, part of the USA Today network, reported on July 21st that the Denver Broncos built a full barbershop right into their practice facility for the players inside the building. Fun little detail about a rich football team until you slow down on what it means for one barber in particular. Somebody is going to be the barber in that room. One person trusted by an entire NFL roster with their heads. And think about how a barber ends up there. Not by being decent at everything near the stadium. That chair goes to a name that traveled. One player, or one guy at the gym who knows one player, passing along a barber known for doing a specific thing well enough to be worth the introduction. That barbershop is a door, and the only key that fits that door like that is a reputation with a shape to it. The same ladder runs in your own town. Access moves up a chain of specific recommendations, one name at a time, and only a name that means a particular thing survives that trip. Now for the mechanism under the whole episode. Barber collectives put out their State of the Barber Industry report for 2026, and the tools half of it is it's basically a story about everybody's gear converging. Brushless motors were a premium upgrade a couple years ago, but now they're just the baseline in the top tier. JRL had the year. Their Onyx got named the tool of the year, and the honest summary is that the whole industry leveled up onto the same handful of excellent cordless clippers. Standing rule here, not sponsored by anybody, I just think barbers should know what's coming, and here's what's coming. When the best tools are available to everybody and everybody's running basically the same brushless setup, the clipper stops being your edge because it can't be. A tool that everybody can buy isn't a competitive advantage, it's table stakes. So the thing that actually separates you can't be sitting on your station anymore, it has to be what you're known for. Same report noted the Metro average ticket ticked up a little bit, and mobile barbering went from niche to mainstream. But strip all of it down, and it says one thing. The gear is now equal. So the differentiation moved to your reputation. You cannot out-clipper the guy next to you anymore. You can, however, absolutely out-specialize him. So hold this week's two pictures up next to each other for a second. A locker room door here in Denver that only a specific name will ever unlock. A station shelf where every clipper is now as good as every other clipper. The room's worth reaching open for a reputation with shape to it. And the machines have stopped providing one. What's left to carry a barber anywhere is what his name means when somebody says it out loud. Before we get to the history books today, a post from a working barber earned its way into the show this week, and it belongs right here, because the locker room and the gear report were both about what your name means from the outside. This one comes from inside the chair. Dan Gregory, at Dan Gregory Hair on Instagram, posted this at the end of July. He'd been scrolling those "come with me for a fully booked day" videos. You know the ones, 15 haircuts and a timetable on the screen. And then a client sat down in his chair and said something that stopped him cold. Listen for what he said.
More than one client sit in my chair and say, I see these videos about the number of haircuts that these barbers are doing, but I'd just feel like another number if I was in that reel. And that made me really stop and think. Because as barbers, we see a fully booked diary as success, but clients don't always see it that way. Because I think some of them are probably thinking, will they have time to listen to me, or will I feel rushed? Will I actually get a consultation, or even, a bit more than what I'd get from the next person? And I think that's really the biggest important difference, because clients aren't choosing you because you've got the busiest diary. They're choosing you because they want to feel understood. They want to feel listened to.
I'd just feel like another number if I was in that reel. That is a paying client telling a barber exactly how the fully booked flex lands on the other side of the cape. And Dan's conclusion deserves to be pulled up out of the ocean of content it's floating in. Clients aren't choosing you because you've got the busiest book. They're choosing you because they want to feel understood. Now, hang that next to everything else this morning, because it fits right in. The fully booked day is a volume brag, and volume is the generalist scoreboard. More heads, more hours, more of everything. but listen to what that client was actually asking for. Time, presence, a real consultation, the feeling of being the most important person in the room for his 45 minutes. And the barber who's known for one thing never has to manufacture that feeling from a standing start. When your name means something specific, the man in your chair picked you for exactly the thing he wanted. He sat down, already understood. That's the piece of reputation no industry report can measure and no clipper can buy you. And notice Dan's fix for what to post instead, too. Show your consultation. Show why you chose that haircut for that client. He's describing a specialist's highlight reel. So run the same test on your own feed. If it's bragging about how busy you are, it's advertising the assembly line. Show one haircut, one decision done your way, and you're advertising the very thing this morning's been about, and a name that means something to the person sitting in front of you. Now, how long can a reputation actually last? Longer than a career, longer than a life, it turns out, if you do it right. And barbering happens to own the best proof of that anywhere. A little barbering history. Go back to the 1700s. Well, looks like I've lost my camera here. It's all right. There I am. Go back to the 1700s. The court of Louis XV of France. A woman there named Jean Antoinette Poisson is better known by her title, Madame de Pompadour. She wears her hair a very particular way, swept up and back off her forehead, high, deliberate, and unmistakable. Soon it's her signature, so associated with her that the style takes her name, the Pompadour. Now follow that name through time. 200 years later, a truck driver's kid from Memphis named Elvis Presley sweeps his hair up off his forehead, and a generation loses its collective mind. What do we call it? The Pompadour. In the 1950s, it comes roaring back through the barbershops onto every rockabilly kid, and it's still on your menu right now in 2026, carrying the name of a French noblewoman who's been dead since 1764. Now, give that a slow second, because it's a wild thing when you really look at it. This woman got so completely known for one specific thing that her name outlived her by more than 2.5 centuries. People say it out loud in your shop with no idea that they're naming a person. That is the absolute far end of what being known for one thing can do. She's not remembered for being good at a lot of things at court. 1,000 people at that court were good at a lot of things, and you can't name one of them. She's immortal because she owned one look so completely that it fused to her name. You're not chasing immortality behind the chair, I get it, but the principle scales all the way down to your zip code. The person who gets remembered, who gets asked for, who becomes the name, it's never the one who did everything. It's the one who owned a thing. 260 years or next Tuesday. The rule doesn't change. All right, the weekly challenge. And this week, the challenge runs in reverse. Nothing gets added to your plate. Instead, something comes off of it. The assignment. Find the one service on your list that you like the least. The one that you're maybe even mediocre at. The one you sort of dread when somebody books. The one you keep on the menu only because you're scared to say no. And take it off. For 1 week, stop offering that service. When somebody asks, you get to say the most powerful sentence a professional ever gets to own. That's not my thing, but I know exactly who you should see for it. Then you send them to a barber who loves doing it. That's it. Remove the one thing and watch what it does, because subtraction is how specialists get made. No one becomes known for their one thing by keeping all of their other things. Every service you drop is a little more room and a little more reputation pointed at the work you actually want your name on. Saying that's not what I do out loud does the opposite of what you're afraid it will. Far from shrinking you, it makes you look like a man who knows exactly what he is, the single most attractive thing a barber can project. The client you sent away remembers the honesty, then comes back for the thing that you're great at. You're not losing a service, you're carving. So this week, remove the one thing, then tell me what you cut and how that first not my thing felt coming out of your mouth. My bet, like power. Let me hand you one picture to carry out the door today. It's Saturday morning. 6 barbershops stand between this guy's house and your chair. 6. All of them are competent. All of them are open. All of them are cheaper once you factor in the drive. And he gets in his car and passes every single one of them. Why? Because he's not going out for a haircut. He's going out for the one thing that you are best at. The one thing he can't get anywhere closer. That drive is the prize. Everything I said this morning exists to build the barber that drive is aimed at. You don't get that drive by being good. Good is at all 6 shops he passed. You get it by being the one who owns the thing he came for. So don't spend another year being everybody's decent second option. Decide your one thing this week. Remove something that isn't it. Design a finish that makes it impossible to miss. Somewhere in your contacts as a barber this episode was actually aimed for. Serious talent, zero gravity, cutting hard while his clients drift to whoever's closer. Send him today's episode. Coming from me, pick your thing is a show. But coming from you, it's a diagnosis from somebody who's watched him work. One honest email from a barber this week, and I will see it. mail@beforethechop.com or say it in the replay comments. Every Monday morning, we're here, live, 11:30 Mountain, 1:30 Eastern. For the barbers who'd sooner read than watch. Every word of every episode gets transcribed and goes out in writing for free at beforethechop.com. Come back Monday because we're headed straight into the books. You've picked your one thing. Next, we find the number that actually runs your business and the single question that fixes more than a new spreadsheet ever could. I'll see you there. I'm David Ford. This is Before the Chop. So go get behind the chair, chop some hair, and go crush it.